What if the single most important moment for your muscles is not when you're lifting weights, but when you're lying still in bed, about to sleep? It surprises most people to learn this. After age 60, the body can lose up to 3% of muscle mass every year, even in relatively healthy individuals. This process is called sarcopenia, and while it's common, it's not inevitable. In fact, the latest neuroscience and muscle physiology research reveals something powerful. What you do in the last 2 hours before bed may determine how much muscle you keep or continue to lose over time. Now, if you're over 60, or if you care for someone who is, this is more than a cosmetic issue. Muscle is not just for strength or appearance. It's a vital organ of longevity. It protects against insulin resistance, supports immune function, maintains balance and coordination, and directly impacts your brain health. Yes, your brain. Muscle is metabolically active tissue. And studies show that the more muscle mass you preserve as you age, the lower your risk of cognitive decline, chronic disease, and frailty. But here's the catch. Aging muscles become far more resistant to growth signals, especially overnight when the body is in a fasting catabolic state. So here's the question. Can we use science, not guesswork, to turn those critical nighttime hours into a window for preserving muscle, improving recovery, and protecting long-term health? The answer is yes. And that's what we're exploring today. In this video, you'll learn 6 science-backed tools and protocols that can help you slow, stop, and potentially even reverse age muscle loss, starting with simple changes to your bedtime routine. These are rooted in research from leading institutions studying aging, muscle protein synthesis, and the neuroendocrine effects of nighttime nutrition and behavior. We'll look at the ideal type and timing of protein before bed, a surprising nutrient that helps signal muscle growth during sleep, the role of sleep architecture in muscle preservation, how to avoid common evening habits that inhibit overnight recovery, and simple ways to retrain aging muscle to respond more like it did in your 30S or 40S. This is not about quick fixes or gimmicks. It's about understanding the biological levers and using them wisely. Because whether you're aiming to stay strong, independent, mentally sharp, or just feel better in your body, what you do in that quiet hour before bed matters more than most people realize. Let's break it down. Let's start with something that may seem counterintuitive. The most important meal for your muscles isn't breakfast. It's what you eat before bed. Here's why. As we age, our body's ability to turn dietary protein into new muscle tissue, a process called muscle protein synthesis, becomes significantly less efficient. This phenomenon is known as anabolic resistance, and it begins to take hold around age 50-60, accelerating every decade thereafter. Now, during sleep, especially in deep sleep stages, the body is primed for tissue repair. Growth hormone pulses are released, and your body begins rebuilding everything from neurons to muscle fibers. But here's the problem. If there's not enough amino acid availability in your bloodstream overnight, your body doesn't build, it breaks down. That's why recent studies, including work published in Frontiers in Nutrition, 2022, and the Journal of Nutrition, 2016, have shown that consuming a high-quality protein source 30-60 minutes before bed can significantly increase overnight muscle protein synthesis, especially in older adults. But it's not just any protein. Here's what the research suggests works best. 20 to 40 grams of slow-digesting high-leucine protein before bed, casein protein found naturally in dairy or as a supplement, digest slowly over several hours, providing a steady stream of amino acids while you sleep. In one study from Maastricht University, older men who consumed 40 grams of casein before bed increased their overnight muscle synthesis by up to 22% compared to a placebo group. Timing's crucial, 30-60 minutes before lights out. You want the amino acids peaking as you enter your first deep sleep cycle. typically about 60-90 minutes into sleep. This aligns the body's internal recovery rhythm with available nutrients. So here's a simple protocol you can try. 30-60 minutes before bed, consume one of the following: a cup of Greek yogurt with a tablespoon of chia or flax, a casein protein shake, a small bowl of cottage cheese with berries, combined with a slow carb or healthy fat to slow digestion even more, like almond butter, oats, or avocado. This doesn't just preserve muscle, it improves sleep too. A 2021 meta-analysis from Neuroscience journal showed that protein before bed may also enhance sleep quality and morning alertness, likely due to better overnight glucose stability and reduced nighttime awakenings. Now you might be wondering, won't eating before bed cause weight gain? Here's what the research shows. If the total daily caloric intake is appropriate, protein before bed does not increase fat gain, and in older adults, it's more likely to increase lean mass and support metabolism. And remember, maintaining muscle means maintaining independence and metabolic health as we age. So if you're over 60 and you want to stay strong, sharp, and physically capable, this one evening habit can be a game changer. Start tonight. You might think that your muscles only grow when you're exercising. But the truth is, muscle isn't built in the gym. It's built in the hours after, especially during deep sleep. Let's talk about what happens in your body when you sleep, particularly in the first few sleep cycles. During slow wave sleep, also known as deep sleep, your brain and body go into a coordinated recovery state. It's here that the pituitary gland releases pulses of growth hormone, a key driver of cellular repair, including the rebuilding of muscle fibers micro-torn during daily activity or exercise. But here's the catch. As we age, both our sleep architecture and our hormonal rhythms begin to change. Older adults often experience lighter, more fragmented sleep, fewer minutes in deep restorative stages, a steeper decline in growth hormone production, especially after age 60. That combination is like trying to renovate a house while the tools are broken and the workers are constantly interrupted. Now, this is where science gives us some good news and some clear action steps. A 2020 review in Sleep Medicine Review showed that adults over 60 who improved sleep quality, not just sleep duration, preserved more lean body mass over time. Why? Because deep sleep is an anabolic window, and when it's disrupted, the body shifts into a more catabolic breakdown focused state overnight. So how do you support your deep sleep and thereby protect your muscles? Here's a simple research-backed protocol. Power down screens 60 to 90 minutes before bed. The blue light from devices suppresses melatonin, the hormone that cues sleep onset and depth. Studies from Harvard and Stanford show that reducing screen time before bed can improve deep sleep duration by up to 15-20%. Cool the room to 65-68 DEGC, 18-20 DG. Deep sleep is temperature dependent. The brain's glymphatic system, which clears out waste and supports cellular repair, activates more efficiently when core body temperature drops slightly. Cooler environments help this process unfold naturally. Use a magnesium-rich, sleep-supportive bedtime ritual. Magnesium, especially in glycinate or threonate form, helps reduce nighttime awakenings and supports parasympathetic nervous system activation. Taking 400 milligrams about 60 minutes before bed has been shown to increase time spent in deep sleep. Try a 10-minute pre-sleep wind down, a consistent wind down, like gentle stretching, reading, or slow breathing, signals the hypothalamus that the waking period is ending. This lowers cortisol and allows melatonin and growth hormone to rise in a healthy, natural wave. Here's a question to consider. When was the last time you woke up and actually felt rebuilt? mentally and physically stronger than the night before. That's not just about age, it's about how you sleep and whether your brain and body are being set up to enter those deeper restorative states. If you're finding this useful so far and you want more grounded, science-based tools like these, consider subscribing. This channel is all about giving you real frameworks for real results. And we've got plenty more coming. Back to muscle. The takeaway here is simple but powerful. To build or even maintain muscle as you age, you must protect your sleep like it's part of your workout. Because in a very real sense, it is. Let's dive into one of the most overlooked levers in muscle maintenance, a single molecule that acts like a spark plug for growth, especially in aging bodies: leucine. Leucine is one of the 3 branched chain amino acids, BCAAs, and among them it plays the most powerful role in triggering muscle protein synthesis. And think of it as the on switch that tells your body it's time to build muscle. Here's where it gets important for people over 60. As we age, muscle tissue becomes increasingly resistant to the normal growth signals from protein, a condition known as anabolic resistance. This means that the amount and type of protein that worked for you in your 30s and 40s may no longer be enough to activate muscle repair today. What's happening in your body is this: the same dietary protein provides less stimulus to the muscle building machinery. But researchers have found a solution. Increasing leucine content in your evening protein intake can help override anabolic resistance, restoring the body's sensitivity to growth signals. Let's look at the science. A pivotal study from the University of Arkansas, Drummond et al., FASIB Journal 2008, demonstrated that older adults who consumed leucine-enriched protein had significantly greater activation of mTOR signaling, the pathway responsible for initiating muscle growth. More recent data, published in Nutrients 2020, shows that at least 2.5 to 3 grams of leucine per meal, especially before bed, is required to properly stimulate MPS in older adults. So how do you hit that leucine threshold? Here's a practical framework. Choose high leucine protein sources. These include whey protein isolate, 2.5 g leucine per 25 g serving, casein protein, especially micellar casein, eggs, 1 large egg contains 0.5 g leucine per 100 g, lean beef or chicken, roughly 1.7 to 0.5 g per 100 g, supplement strategically if needed. If your bedtime meal is lower in total protein, you can add a standalone leucine supplement, tilde 3G, to your shake or snack. Research shows this can rescue a lower protein meal by ensuring the anabolic signal is still triggered. Combine with other amino acids for full effect. Leucine starts the engine, but you still need the rest of the amino acid fuel to sustain growth. So don't rely on leucine alone. It works best in complete protein context, not as a solo act. Here's a quick example of a muscle-supporting evening option. 1 scoop of casein or whey protein, tilde 25-30 g, a tablespoon of nut butter or a few walnuts. Optional, add 2-3 g of leucine powder to ensure you meet the effective threshold. Now, you might be wondering, why not just eat more protein during the day? Isn't that enough? Good question. The research shows that evenly distributing protein, and especially timing a leucine-rich dose before bed, leads to superior overnight muscle repair. That's because you're aligning nutrient availability with the hormonal conditions that promote growth. And remember, it's not just about vanity or strength. Muscle is your metabolic armor. It protects your blood sugar, your bones, your mobility, and even your brain. So if you're over 60, leucine isn't just another nutrient, it's a signal your body needs help responding to. Get that signal right, and the downstream effects can be profound. Here's something few people talk about. You can do everything right with nutrition and still lose muscle if your nighttime stress is too high. Let's unpack why. Cortisol, often called the stress hormone, is not inherently bad. In fact, it's essential for survival. It helps you wake up in the morning, mobilize energy, and respond to challenges. The problem is when cortisol is elevated chronically, especially at night, it interferes with the body's ability to repair and rebuild tissue, including muscle. What's happening in your brain when this occurs is this. High nighttime cortisol suppresses growth hormone release, blunts muscle protein synthesis, and increases catabolic signaling, the process by which your body breaks down muscle for energy. This is especially pronounced in older adults whose stress buffering systems are already less robust due to changes in the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal HPA axis. A 2019 study in experimental gerontology found that older adults with high evening cortisol levels had significantly lower lean body mass and strength, even when controlling for exercise and diet. So what elevates cortisol in the evening? Late day mental stress or arguments over stimulation from TV, news, or social media, alcohol or high sugar foods before bed, sleep irregularity or exposure to bright light at night. Fortunately, there are simple evidence-based tools you can use to reduce cortisol at night and protect your muscle building environment while you sleep. A simple tool to apply is this. A 3-phase evening downshift protocol. 1. Decompression window. Dim the lights, power down screens, or use blue light blockers. Avoid email, news, or anything emotionally activating. Optional. Try a cup of chamomile or lemon balm tea shown in studies to lower anxiety and salivary cortisol. 2. Parasympathetic activity. 10-15 minutes before bed. Gentle movement. Light stretching or a walk, breath work, 4-7-8 breathing, or physiological sigh, 2 quick inhales, long, slow exhale. Research from Stanford's Neuroscience labs shows these methods rapidly calm the nervous system. Atrophy. Magnesium glycinate, 2,400 milligrams, or L-theanine, 100-200 milligrams, can naturally reduce stress reactivity. Avoid alcohol and heavy carbs, which spike cortisol and insulin volatility overnight. Keep your wake/sleep time consistent. Circadian rhythm irregularity alone can raise evening cortisol. Here's a question to reflect on. What's the emotional tone of your night? Calm and unwinding, or restless and wired? Because cortisol isn't just shaped by events. It's shaped by your rituals, your lighting, your mental inputs, all of which are within your control. And here's the empowering piece. By protecting your nervous system at night, you're not just improving your sleep, you're protecting your muscle, your energy, and your long-term mobility. This is why recovery isn't just about supplements or workouts. It's about shifting your internal chemistry into a rebuild state every single night. And if this insight is helping you, if you're starting to see how muscle health is deeply connected to your nervous system, consider subscribing to the channel. We dive into the science that actually matters for your life, your body, and your brain. And there's so much more ahead. What if you could preserve or even build muscle after 60 without spending an hour at the gym? There's a concept in exercise science called resistance snacking, and it might be one of the most powerful, underutilized tools for aging muscles. Here's the insight. Your muscles don't need long workouts to get stronger. They need frequent, consistent signals to stay active. A study published in the Journal of Applied Physiology, 2019, found that brief bouts of low-load resistance work performed multiple times throughout the day stimulate muscle protein synthesis almost as effectively as full workouts, especially when paired with adequate protein. This is particularly helpful for older adults whose muscle cells require more frequent activation due to anabolic resistance. So how does this relate to your bedtime routine? It turns out that performing a short burst of muscle engagement in the evening, we're talking just 5-10 minutes, can do 3 things. Improve glucose metabolism overnight, enhance sleep depth by reducing blood sugar volatility, trigger localized mTOR signaling, priming your body to make better use of the protein you consume before bed. Let's break that down. During the day, your muscles act like glucose sponges. When you lightly activate them in the evening, you reduce blood sugar fluctuations that would otherwise disrupt your sleep and drive nighttime cortisol, both of which, as we've covered, accelerate muscle loss. In short, evening resistance snacking tells your body muscle is needed, keep it active, prioritize repair while I sleep. Here's a practical bedtime resistance snack you can do in under 10 minutes. The evening muscle. 2 sets of body weight squats, 10 to 15 reps. 2 sets of wall push-ups or countertop push-ups, 10 reps. 2 sets of heel raises, 15 reps. Optional, a 60-second plank or 20-second side planks. No gym, no equipment, just gentle signals. Enough to turn on the recovery machinery. A 2021 paper in Frontiers in Sports and Active Living emphasized that consistency of muscle activation matters more than intensity for maintaining lean mass in older adults. These snacks help bridge the gap between sedentary behavior and full-scale workouts, especially when done daily. Now, this isn't about replacing regular exercise. It's about layering small, high-impact habits that build up over time. Here's a challenge. Try this bedtime muscle snack for 1 week. See how your body feels in the morning. See if your sleep improves. See if you feel more stable walking upstairs. Small hinges swing big doors. And when it comes to aging well, the body responds to consistent signals more than occasional intensity. This is how you rewire your biology. With brief, intentional movement that says, this muscle matters, keep it strong, keep it growing. Now that you understand the power of protein timing, leucine signaling, and cortisol regulation, let's put it all together into something you can actually eat. A simple, muscle-preserving bedtime meal. Think of this as your body's overnight construction kit. The raw materials and signals your muscles need to repair, grow, and stabilize you for the day ahead. Here's what the research shows. A well-designed evening meal should be protein-rich, leucine-dense, slow digesting, and support blood sugar stability without triggering late-night cortisol. So what does that actually look like? Let's walk through 4 ideal foods backed by science that, when combined, create the perfect environment for overnight muscle preservation. 1. Casein protein or Greek yogurt. Why it works. Casein is a slow-digesting milk protein that provides a steady release of amino acids for 6-8 hours, exactly what your body needs during sleep. Unlike whey, which spikes and fades quickly, casein sustains the anabolic environment all night long. Studies, like the one from Rez et al., Medicine and Science in Sports and Exercise 2012, show that consuming 40 g of casein before bed enhances overnight muscle protein synthesis, especially in older adults. Alternative, plain Greek yogurt, especially 2% or whole, offers a similar benefit, with added probiotics to support gut health and reduce inflammation. Tool, mix 1 scoop 30 to 40 g of micellar casein protein in water or almond milk, or have 3/4 1 cup of Greek yogurt with some flax or chia seeds. 2. Cottage cheese. Why it works? Cottage cheese is high in casein and naturally rich in leucine, the amino acid that triggers mTOR and muscle repair. In fact, 1 cup of low-fat cottage cheese contains about 28 g of protein and 2.5 g of leucine, hitting the ideal threshold for muscle protein synthesis in older adults. Tool, have 1/2 to 1 cup of cottage cheese with cinnamon or berries. It's a convenient whole food source of slow-release protein. 3. Pumpkin seeds or walnuts. Why they work. These offer magnesium, zinc, and healthy fats, all of which support anabolic hormone balance, lower nighttime inflammation, and improve sleep quality. Pumpkin seeds in particular are rich in magnesium, which calms the nervous system and aids in muscle recovery. Walnuts provide plant-based omega-3s and naturally support melatonin production, which helps you fall asleep and stay in deep restorative sleep. Tool: add 1 tablespoon of seeds or a small handful of walnuts to your yogurt or casein shake. 4, kiwi or tart cherry juice. Why it works. This might surprise you, but kiwi has been shown in sleep research to significantly improve sleep onset, duration, and efficiency. One study in Asia Pacific Journal of Clinical Nutrition 2011 found that eating 2 kiwis 1 hour before bed helped participants fall asleep faster and sleep deeper. Tart cherry juice is another option. It contains natural melatonin and anti-inflammatory polyphenols that support recovery and sleep. Tool: try 1 small kiwi or 1/2 cup of tart cherry juice 30-60 minutes before bed, especially if you struggle with falling asleep. The complete bedtime muscle meal example: 1 scoop casein protein or 3/4 cup Greek yogurt, 1 tablespoon pumpkin seeds or a few walnuts, 1 small kiwi or 1/2 cup tart cherry juice, optional, 1/2 cup cottage cheese for added protein and leucine. This combination provides 35-45 g of high quality protein, 2.3 g of leucine, key micronutrients for recovery and hormonal health, slow digestion and blood sugar stability, sleep promoting compounds. It's not just a snack, it's an overnight investment in your strength, your mobility, and your independence. Because here's the truth. Muscle isn't just about looking fit. It's your body's reserve tank for resilience. The thing that lets you move, heal, balance, and live life on your own terms. And every night you have a chance to feed that resilience. Let's step back and look at the big picture. If you're over 60, your body is speaking to you more clearly than ever. It's telling you what it needs to stay strong, what it needs to stay functional, and what it needs to keep showing up for the people and passions that matter to you. And one of the clearest messages it's sending is this: preserve my muscle or lose mobility, energy, and protection from aging. This isn't vanity, it's biology. Muscle is your metabolic engine, your strength reserve, your immune shield, and your biggest predictor of independence as you age. And while muscle naturally declines with age, science now shows it's not inevitable. The right evening habits can slow, stop, and even reverse that decline. So let's quickly recap these 6 science-backed tools we explored, your nightly toolkit to stop muscle loss in its tracks. Protein timing and leucine signaling. You need 30-40 g of protein before bed with at least 2.5 g of leucine to trigger overnight muscle synthesis. Circadian alignment and muscle hormones. Your body responds best when your sleep-wake cycle is consistent and your feeding aligns with natural rhythms. Cortisol down, melatonin up equals better muscle repair. Sleep architecture and muscle regeneration. Deep sleep is when 95% of growth hormone is released. Prioritize sleep hygiene and nighttime protein to capitalize on this anabolic window. Cortisol, inflammation, and muscle breakdown. Nighttime stress and poor emotional regulation increase catabolism. Use decompression rituals and magnesium-rich foods to shift into a parasympathetic state. Resistance snacking. Just 5-10 minutes of body weight movement before bed can stimulate muscle receptors and glucose control, setting the stage for growth while you sleep. The ideal bedtime meal: a slow digesting, leucine-rich, blood sugar stabilizing snack, casein, Greek yogurt, seeds, kiwi, is your nighttime muscle prescription. These aren't just protocols, they're signals to your biology. Signals that say, you still need this muscle. You're still engaged in life. You're still building, not breaking down. Because even after 60, your body is listening and it's capable of adapting, growing, and thriving if you feed it the right inputs. So here's your challenge. Tonight, implement just one of these tools. Maybe it's the Greek yogurt with seeds. Maybe it's the evening wall push-ups. Maybe it's dimming the lights and sipping chamomile tea while you breathe. Small wins compound. And consistency creates biology. You are not powerless to aging. You are not at the mercy of decline. Science has shown us that muscle is not just about lifting, it's about signaling. And you can send those signals starting tonight. If this video helped clarify your path to strength and vitality after 60, I invite you to like, comment, and subscribe. Join a community committed to mastering the science of living well, not just for longevity, but for quality of life. And remember this, the strongest signal you can send your body is the belief that you're still in the game. Let's keep building together.